Hi everybody, it's Miss Karen, the Young Adult Librarian at the Goshen Public Library. Welcome back to Magical Mondays. This is our second edition. This week we are going down the rabbit hole with Alice to visit Wonderland. So I don't know how many of you have actually read Alice's Adventures in Wonderland or Alice's Adventures Through the Looking Glass. We're going to read the first chapter of Alice in Wonderland today, but you are more than welcome to borrow the book yourself if you want to read the rest of it. Or if you're enrolled in our Beanstack Challenge, you can enter to win your very own copy of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland with your raffle tickets in Beanstack. If you have questions about the Beanstack Challenge, go to our website or give me a call or send me an email and I can help you get signed up. It's not too late and you can earn lots of raffle tickets to win some great prizes. But this week, we're going to Wonderland. I hope you guys join me to go to Oz the last time. If not, you can still watch that episode of Magical Mondays and take a quick trip to Oz before you go to Wonderland. But today we're going to Wonderland. So we're going to read the first chapter of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, and then we're going to talk about some more contemporary YA retellings of Alice in Wonderland. So this is Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. Let's see. Chapter 1, Down the Rabbit Hole. Alice was beginning to get very tired of sitting by her sister on the bank and of having nothing to do. Once or twice she had peeped into the book her sister was reading, but it had no pictures or conversations in it. And what is the use of a book, thought Alice, without pictures or conversations? So she was considering in her own mind, as well as she could, for the hot day made her feel very sleepy and stupid, whether the pleasure of making a daisy chain would be worth the trouble of getting up and picking the daisies, when suddenly a white rabbit with pink eyes ran close by her. There was nothing so very remarkable in that, nor did Alice think it so very much out of the way to hear the rabbit say to itself, oh dear, I shall be too late." When she thought it over afterwards, it occurred to her that she ought to have wondered at this, but at the time it all seemed quite natural. But when the rabbit actually took a watch out of its waistcoat pocket and looked at it and then hurried on, Alice started to her feet, for it flashed across her mind that she had never before seen a rabbit with either a waistcoat pocket or a watch to take out of it. And burning with curiosity, she ran across the field after it, and was just in time to see it pop down a large rabbit hole under the hedge. In another moment, down went Alice after it, never once considering how in the world she was to get out again. The rabbit hole went straight on like a tunnel for some way, and then dipped suddenly down, so suddenly that Alice had not a moment to think about stopping herself before she found herself falling down what seemed to be a very deep well. Either the well was very deep, or she fell very slowly, for she had plenty of time as she went down to look about her, and to wonder what was going to happen next. First she tried to look down and make out what she was coming to, but it was too dark to see anything. Then she looked at the sides of the well and noticed that they were filled with cupboards and bookshelves. Here and there she saw maps and pictures hung upon pegs. She took down a jar from one of the shelves as she passed. It was labeled Orange Marmalade, but to her great disappointment it was empty. She did not like to drop the jar for fear of killing somebody underneath, so she managed to put it into one of the cupboards as she fell past it. Well, Alice thought to herself, after such a fall as this, I shall think nothing of tumbling downstairs. How brave they'll all think me at home. Why, I wouldn't say anything about it, even if I fell off the top of the house, which was very likely true. Down, down, down. Would the fall never come to an end? I wonder how many miles I've fallen by this time, she said aloud. I must be getting somewhere near the center of the earth. Let me see. That would be 4,000 miles down, I think. For you see, Alice had learnt several things of this sort in her lessons in the schoolroom, and though this was not a very good opportunity for showing off her knowledge, as there was no one to listen to her, Still, it was good practice to say it over. Yes, that's about the right distance. But then I wonder what latitude or longitude I've got to. Alice had not the slightest idea what latitude was, or longitude either, but she thought they were nice, grand words to say. Presently she began again. I wonder if I shall fall right through the earth. How funny it'll seem to come out among the people that walk with their heads downwards. The antipathies, I think. She was rather glad there was no one listening this time, as it didn't sound like at all the right word. But I shall have to ask them what the name of the country is, you know. Please, ma'am, is this New Zealand or Australia? And she tried to curtsy as she spoke. Fancy curtsying as you're falling through the air. Do you think you could manage it? And what an ignorant little girl shall think of me for asking. No, it'll never do to ask. Perhaps I shall see it written up somewhere. Down, down, down. There was nothing else to do, so Alice began talking again. Dinah'll miss me very much tonight, I should think. Dinah was the cat. I hope they'll remember her saucer of milk at tea time. Dinah, my dear, I wish you were down here with me. There are no mice in the air, I'm afraid, but you might catch a bat that's very like a mouse. But do cats eat bats, I wonder? And here Alice began to get rather sleepy, and went on saying to herself in a dreamy sort of way, do cats eat bats? Do cats eat bats? And sometimes, do bats eat cats? For you see, as she couldn't answer either question, it didn't much matter which way she put it. She felt that she was dozing off and had just begun to dream that she was walking hand in hand with Dinah and was saying to her very earnestly, Now, Dinah, tell me the truth. Did you ever eat a bat? When suddenly, thump, thump, down she came upon a heap of sticks and dry leaves, and the fall was over. Alice was not a bit hurt, and she jumped up onto her feet in a moment. She looked up, but it was all dark overhead. Before her was another long passage, and the white rabbit was still in sight, hurrying down it. There was not a moment to be lost. Away went Alice like the wind, and was just in time to hear it say, as it turned a corner, Oh, my ears and whiskers, how late it's getting! She was close behind it when she turned the corner, but the rabbit was no longer to be seen. She found herself in a long, low hall, which was lit up by a row of lamps hanging from the roof. There were doors all round the hall, but they were all locked, and when Alice had been all the way down one side and up the other, trying every door, she walked sadly down the middle, wondering how she was ever to get out again. Suddenly she came upon a little three-legged table, all made of solid glass. There was nothing on it but a tiny golden key, and Alice's first idea was that this might belong to one of the doors of the hall. But alas, either the locks were too large or the key was too small. But at any rate, it would not open any of them. However, on the second time round, she came upon a low curtain she had not noticed before, and behind it was a little door about 15 inches high. She tried the little golden key in the lock, and to her great delight, it fit. Alice opened the door and found that it led into a small passage, not much larger than a rat hole. She knelt down and looked along the passage into the loveliest garden you ever saw. How she longed to get out of that dark hall and wander about among these beds of bright flowers and those cool fountains. But she could not even get her head through the doorway. And even if my poor head would go through, thought poor Alice, it would be of very little use without my shoulders. Oh, how I wish I could shut up like a telescope. I think I could, if I only knew how to begin. For you see, so many out-of-the-way things had happened lately that Alice had begun to think that very few things indeed were really impossible. There seemed to be no use in waiting by the little door, so she went back to the table, half hoping she might find another key on it, or at any rate a book of rules for shutting people up like telescopes. This time she found a little bottle on it, which certainly was not here before, said Alice, and tied round the neck of the bottle was a paper label, with the words, Drink Me, beautifully printed in very large letters. It was all very well to say, Drink me, but the wise little Alice was not going to do that in a hurry. No, "I'll look first," she said, "and see whether it's marked poison or not." For she had read several nice little stories about children who had got burnt or eaten up by wild beasts or by other unpleasant things, all because they would not remember the simple rules their friends had taught them, such as that a red-hot poker will burn you if you hold it too long, and that if you cut your finger very deeply with a knife, it usually bleeds. And she had never forgotten that if you drink much from a bottle marked poison, it is almost certain to disagree with you sooner or later. However, this bottle was not marked poison, so Alice ventured to taste it, and finding it very nice, it had in fact a sort of mixed flavor of cherry tart, custard, pineapple, roast turkey, toffee, and hot buttered toast. She very soon finished it off. "What a curious feeling," said Alice. "I must be shutting up like a telescope." And so it was indeed. She was now only 10 inches high, and her face brightened up at the thought that she was now the right size for going through the little door into the lovely garden. First, however, she waited for a few minutes to see if she was going to shrink any further. She felt a little nervous about this, for it might end, you know, said Alice to herself, in my going out altogether like a candle. I wonder what I should be like then. And she tried to fancy what the flame of a candle looks like after the candle is blown out, for she could not remember ever having seen such a thing. After a while, finding that nothing more happened, she decided on going into the garden at once. But alas, for poor Alice, when she got to the door, she found she had forgotten the little golden key. And when she went back to the table for it, she found she could not possibly reach it, for she could see it quite plainly through the glass, and she tried her best to climb up one of the legs of the table, but it was too slippery, and when she had tired herself out with trying, the poor little thing sat down and cried. "Come, there's no use in crying like that," said Alice to herself rather sharply. "I advise you to leave off this minute." She generally gave herself very good advice, though she very seldom followed it, and sometimes she scolded herself so severely as to bring tears into her eyes, and once she remembered trying to box her own ears for having cheated herself in a game of croquet she was playing against herself, for this curious child was very fond of pretending to be two people. But it's no use now, thought poor Alice, to pretend to be two people. Why, there's hardly enough of me left to make one respectable person. Soon her eye fell on a little glass box that was lying under the table. She opened it and found in it a very small cake, on which the words, "Eat me," were beautifully marked in currants. "Well, I'll eat it," said Alice, "and if it makes me grow larger, I can reach the key, and if it makes me grow smaller, I can creep under the door. So either way, I will get into the garden, and I don't care which happens." She ate a little bit, and said anxiously to herself, "Which way, which way?" holding her hand on the top of her head to feel which way it was growing. And she was quite surprised to find that she remained the same size. To be sure, that is what generally happens when one eats cake, but Alice had got so much into the way of expecting nothing but out-of-the-way things to happen that it seemed quite dull and stupid for life to go on in the common way. So she set to work, and very soon finished off the cake. And that's the end of Chapter 1 of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. So if you want to find out if the cake makes Alice grow larger, you'll have to pick up the book and read Chapter 2 and see if Alice grows larger and gets the key, and then smaller and is able to get into that wonderful garden. So for those of you who like the Alice in Wonderland story, there are lots and lots of Alice retellings in YA and adult literature. We have quite a few of them here at the Goshen Library, so I'm going to go through what we have so you guys can see if you want to check any of them out. The first one that I'm going to tell you about is called The Looking Glass Wars, and this is by Frank Better, and it is a series. So we have this one, which is just The Looking Glass Wars. We also have Arch Enemy, and we have Seeing Red here at the library. So I'm going to tell you what this series is about. Alice of Wonderland. When Alice Hart, heir to the Wonderland throne, must flee through the pool of tears to escape her murderous Aunt Red, she finds herself lost and alone in Victorian London. Befriended by an aspiring author named Lewis Carroll, Alice tells the violent, heartbreaking story of her young life. Alice trusts this author to tell the truth so that someone somewhere will find her and bring her home. But he gets the story all wrong. He even spells her name incorrectly. Fortunately, royal bodyguard Hatter Madigan knows all too well the awful truth of Alice's story, and he is searching every corner of our world to find the lost princess and return her to Wonderland so she may eventually battle Red for her rightful place as the Queen of Hearts. The Looking Glass Wars unabashedly challenges our Wonderland assumptions surrounding mad tea parties, grinning Cheshire cats, and a curious little blonde girl to reveal an epic battle in the endless war for imagination. So this is sort of a twist on Alice in that Alice comes into our world instead of going into Wonderland. She comes out of Wonderland, tells her story, and then somehow disappears. And the Mad Hatter has to go and find her. So if you're interested in reading this twisted version of Alice, be sure to pick up The Looking Glass Wars by Frank Better. Next, we have a series by Colleen Oakes. The first one in the series is called Queen of Hearts. Then we also have Blood of Wonderland and The War of the Cards. This series is also available on Hoopla, so if you'd rather read it on your tablet or on your phone, you can check it out on Hoopla. Queen of Hearts by Colleen Oakes is the story of the Queen of Hearts from Alice in Wonderland. Only queens with hearts can bleed. This is not the story of the Wonderland we know. Alice has not fallen down a rabbit hole. There is no all-knowing cat with a taunting smile. This is a Wonderland where beneath each smile lies a secret, each tart comes with a demand, and only prisoners tell the truth. Dinah is the princess who will one day reign over Wonderland. She has not yet seen the dark depths of her kingdom. She longs only for her father's approval and a future with the boy she loves. But when a betrayal breaks her heart and threatens her throne, she is launched into Wonderland's dangerous political game. Dinah must stay one step ahead of her cunning enemies, or she'll lose not just the crown, but her head. Evil is brewing in Wonderland, and maybe most frighteningly in Dinah herself. The first novel in Colleen Oakes' epic imaginative series proves heroes can become villains and fairy tales can become nightmares. This is not the story of Happily Ever After. This is the story of the Queen of Hearts. So if you want to read more about the Queen of Hearts, check this one out. Like I said, it's a 3-book series. We have all 3 books here, or you can read them on Hoopla. And now for another backstory of the Queen of Hearts, we have Heartless by Marissa Meyer. This is one of my very, very, very favorite books of all time. It is a wonderful story of the Queen of Hearts and how she got to be the way she is. And if you know the story of Alice, you know the Queen of Hearts is quite mean, and you might wonder how she got that way. And Heartless does a great job of telling you how it happened. And this book is a standalone, so you only have to read this one. It doesn't have a sequel. It doesn't have another one. This is the only one. Catherine may be one of the most desired girls in Wonderland and a favorite of the unmarried king, but her interests lie elsewhere. A talented baker, she wants to open a shop and create delectable pastries. But for her mother, such a goal is unthinkable for a woman who could be queen. At a royal ball where Kath is expected to receive the king's marriage proposal, she meets handsome and mysterious Jest. For the first time, she feels the pull of true attraction. At the risk of offending the king and infuriating her parents, she and Jest enter a secret courtship. Kath is determined to choose her own destiny. But in a land thriving with magic, madness, and monsters, fate has other plans. So this tells the story of the Queen of Hearts as she grows up and falls in love. And you'll have to read to find out what happens next. But I can tell you that it doesn't always end happily ever after, as you'll find out in Heartless by Marissa Meyer. And finally, in books, we have Splintered by A.G. Howard. And Splintered is, again, another retelling of Alice in Wonderland, but it is very unusual. So, Alyssa Gardner hears the thoughts of plants and insects. She hides her delusions for now, but she knows her fate. She will end up like her mother in an institution. Madness has run in her family. Ever since her great-great-great-grandmother, Alice Liddell, told Lewis Carroll her strange dreams, inspiring his classic Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. But perhaps she's not mad, and perhaps Carroll's stories aren't as whimsical as they first seem. To break the curse of insanity, Alyssa must go down the rabbit hole and right the wrongs of Wonderland, a place full of strange beings with dark agendas. Alyssa brings her real-world crush, the protective Jeb, with her. But once her journey begins, she's torn between his solidity and the enchanting, dangerous magic of Morpheus, her guide to Wonderland. But no one in Wonderland is who they seem to be, not even Alyssa herself. So this is a very fantastical journey through Wonderland, and it's very different, very unusual, and I encourage you to check it out because I actually really enjoyed this one, but it isn't exactly what you're expecting, I don't think. Now we do have, like I said, on Hoopla, you can read the Queen of Hearts series by Colleen Oakes. You can also read that on Overdrive. Actually, no, I'm sorry, that's only on Hoopla. But on Overdrive, we have this one, Alice in Zombieland by Gina Showalter. This one is available on Overdrive through the RCLS catalog. It is also available on Hoopla. And it is also a series. It's part of the White Rabbit Chronicles, so this is book 1 of the White Rabbit Chronicles. A modern-day Alice in Wonderland meets the undead. Alice in Zombieland, the first book in the White Rabbit Chronicles, introduces readers to a world newly overrun by zombies and the one girl who may be able to save mankind. She won't rest until she's sent every waking corpse back to its grave. Had anyone told Alice Bell that her entire life would change course between one heartbeat and the next, she would have laughed. But that's all it took, one heartbeat. One blink, one breath, 1 second, and everything she knew and loved was gone. Her father was right. The monsters are real. To avenge her family, Allie must learn to fight the undead. To survive, she must learn to trust the baddest of bad boys, Cole Holland. But Cole has secrets of his own, and if Alice isn't careful, those secrets might just prove to be more dangerous than the zombies. So this is Alice in Zombieland. It's the first book in the White Rabbit Chronicles. There are 4 books in the White Rabbit Chronicles: Alice in Zombieland, Through the Zombie Glass, The Queen of Zombie Hearts, and A Mad Zombie Party. And you can request and read these on Overdrive through the catalog, or you can go on Hoopla and read them there if you prefer. So I hope you guys have enjoyed our journey into Wonderland, and you maybe have found some new books to try for some different looks at Alice and her story. I hope you have signed up for our Beanstack Challenge and you're doing some of the activities on Beanstack. Remember, this is one of them, so if you watch this, you can earn a raffle ticket on Beanstack and try to win some of our great prizes. So I hope to see you guys soon at the library. You can come in and borrow any of these books that I've talked about here. You can request them on hold if you're not comfortable coming in. You can pick them up at our pickup window, or you can go online and read a few of them online. So I hope you guys enjoyed your trip to Wonderland, and you'll be back in a couple of weeks to check out another fabulous fictional world. Have a great week.